Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of big business. Today, we are digging into Interactive Brokers Group, also known as IBKR. And this time, we are going to look at a proxy statement, which some people might think is boring, but stick with me, because it actually gives us a peek into the company's plans for the future, who's in charge, and how they are getting paid. There are always interesting things when money is involved. This proxy statement is for Interactive Brokers Group's annual meeting of stockholders that happened in April. It is basically a document the company sends out to its shareholders so they can vote on important decisions like electing directors and ratifying their accounting firm. Think of it as a ballot with some background information. This section explains the voting process for shareholders because, after all, this is a proxy statement. If you own stock in IBKR, you would have received a notice about how to access these materials and cast your vote. It also clarifies who is eligible to vote, and it breaks down Interactive Brokers Group's unusual voting structure. They have Class A common stock like most companies and a special Class B common stock. Thomas Peterffy, the founder and chairman, through his company IBG Holdings LLC, controls all the Class B shares. This gives him significant voting power. I would be worried about this structure since one person controls so much. It also notes how many shares the directors and named executive officers owned as of March 3, 2025, which was about 2.99% of the outstanding shares. It is important to see that the people in charge are aligned with how the company is doing. Moving on, the statement describes the company's corporate governance structure. That means how the company is run. For example, Interactive Brokers Group has a lead independent director, Dr. Lawrence Harris, which is a good practice that helps oversee the company. However, because of the founder's significant ownership stake, Interactive Brokers Group operates as a controlled company under NASDAQ rules. This is not great. This means they don't have to have a majority of independent directors. So the people on the board are not necessarily objective. The board oversees the company's risk management, particularly financial risks. In 2024, the board held 4 meetings. There's also an audit committee, compensation committee, and a nominating and corporate governance committee. These committees handle specific areas like financial reporting, executive pay, and board member selection. The report lists out the fees paid to Deloitte, their independent accounting firm. Audit fees were about $5.2 million in 2024. The company will be voting to ratify this accounting firm, a normal part of business. This area always gets people's attention. The company discusses its compensation philosophy, emphasizing performance-based pay, how they determine executive compensation, and the different elements of compensation such as base salary, cash bonuses, and stock awards. So how much money are we talking? Let us look at the summary compensation table. It lays out the compensation for the named executive officers, which are those at the very top of the company. Thomas Peterffy, the chairman, had a salary of $575,000. The CEO, Milan Galik, had a total compensation of over $17.3 million. A lot of their compensation comes from stock awards. Here's a statistic that always raises eyebrows: the ratio of the CEO's pay to the median employee's pay. In this case, it's 164 to 1. The median employee made about $106,000. So that means the CEO makes 164 times what a typical employee at the company does. There is a section that digs into pay versus performance, which looks at how executive compensation aligns with the company's financial performance. Now, the board did not really consider this when coming up with compensation. The report details who owns the company's stock. IBG Holdings LLC, owned by Thomas Peterffy, has a huge chunk of the voting power through Class B common stock. BlackRock and Vanguard also each own a significant percentage of the common stock. IBKR is asking its shareholders to elect 10 directors to the board of directors to serve until the annual stockholders meeting in 2026. It lists all the nominees for the board. Each nominee's background and qualifications are provided. The board recommends voting for all of them. There are a lot of men. A lot of these people have been there for a long time. There are a couple of women and a non-white person on the list. Finally, there's an advisory vote on the compensation of the named executive officers. It's a non-binding vote, but it gives shareholders a chance to voice their opinion on whether they think the executives are being paid fairly. Again, the board recommends voting for the compensation plan. This section outlines the process for stockholders to submit proposals for the next annual meeting. Okay, let's zoom out. The good, Interactive Brokers Group has a solid foundation with a long-standing accounting firm in Deloitte and key financial metrics that demonstrate a healthy business. The bad, IBKR has concentrated voting control in its chairman and founder. It operates as a controlled company under NASDAQ rules, which reduces independent oversight, presenting potential risks. The big payouts to top executives, while common, might draw criticism. In conclusion, while IBKR appears financially sound, investors should carefully consider governance risks stemming from its controlled company structure and potentially excessive executive compensation. Thanks for watching Corporate Decoder. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Also, feel free to like, comment, and share.